Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys the best brawlers for the brand new Club League event, Mega Pig. We've already had 1 weekend to kind of digest things, go through all the modifiers and really test things out. So then next week you should have a little bit of an advantage with all of these best brawlers. So this is actually going to be going on every single week for a month, and then normally it's a monthly thing. So I'll give some of my thoughts towards the end of the video in terms of what I actually think about Mega Pig. But for now, we'll actually talk about the best brawlers. So if you didn't know, in Mega Pig there are 4 modifiers. There's Super Bushy, so a bush will spawn every single second. The normal one, which is just literally normal Brawl Stars. Unlimited power, when someone dies, a power up just like in Showdown will drop and you can pick it up and get even better. And then instant overtime as well. So the first modifier we're going to be taking a look at is instant overtime. So it's literally self-explanatory, right? Every single wall on the map will break open as soon as you play the mode, and even the unbreakable walls as well. So it literally doesn't matter which game mode pops up, every wall's going to break. So straight away you've got to be looking at the snipers. So straight away in the composition you need to have either Nanny or Piper. Ideally I would have both, but you just definitely have to have one of them, because of course they have some of the longest ranges in the game and they can pretty much beat all of those other kind of mid to long range brawlers easily. So definitely one of those. You can go with B as well. So typically not everyone will pick a sniper, right? So B is really good in case the enemy wants to pick, I don't know, like a Fang or a Bull or any hypercharged brawler that might have the pop-off moment. B can shut that down pretty easily. Same with Bell as well. They can at least counter those high HP brawlers somewhat decently. So because of the way it works with drafting, it's not like the typical Power League format, so you don't really know what's coming up with the enemy composition. You're literally going in blind, just like ladders. So you've got to make sure that your composition is bulletproof even in instant overtime. So that's why I always recommend maybe going a couple of snipers and then something else on the side that can deal with some sort of aggression. So that's why I either like Fang, going aggressive yourself and countering those snipers for those pop-off moments. Of course, it might be a little bit hard to get your first super, but once you do get one, you can definitely start to make those plays. I also recommend Charlie as well. Charlie's a good counter to a lot of her sharpshooters. With her spider gadget, she can get so much pressure and just force the enemies all the way back into spawn. I really like the likes of Carl as well. Just getting those gadgets and making those plays can be really crucial, and that's why, you know, it's a bit of a risky pick. Mortis as well. So about 10 brawlers that you can really go through here. RT as well can be pretty solid against those aggressive brawlers as well, whether you actually need it. So pretty much just go long range and you should be able to win an instant overtime. Okay, so now we're going to be going through every single game mode and every single map. There's 2 maps per game mode on this Mega Pig event, and going through all the modifiers. And specifically, there's only really one change. We've already gone through instant overtime, so that's one of the 4 gone. We have normal Brawl Stars, which I'll go through, the Bushy one, which you might have to tweak comps a little bit, and then the Power Cube one, which is just pretty much like normal Brawl Stars, except for you really don't want to die a lot, or else it's really hard to come back. Anyways, we're going to be starting off with double swoosh gem grab. So for the mid then, I think, in my personal opinion, whether it's actually the Bushy mode or not, you need to go a mid that is bulletproof to aggressive brawlers, because everybody is going hypercharged brawlers at the moment. So my 3 mid options, could actually add Jesse in here as well, are Lou, Charlie, Crow, and Jesse. So the reason being, Lou's just broken with hypercharge. You need him to defeat those really aggressive picks. You know, Charlie as well will just delete tanks as well. Crow actually is a good mid on double swoosh because you can get the slows, you can scout bushes easily, and you're not actually too vulnerable in the middle on a map like double swoosh. And this is where it comes into play in terms of what game mode actually appears. So with your lanes, you want to be making sure you have one tank, whether it's a Bushy game mode or not. You want a tank, so you want Buster, Rosa, Bull, or Jackie. I think Buster's probably the best, or Rosa because of the hypercharge has their pop-off moments. But yeah, Bull can definitely be really good. You just got to make sure that you're not destroying the grass in their most pivotal moments. And as well, you want to make sure you're getting a tank counter in there. So if it's the Bushy modifier, you definitely need a tank counter in there, like one of the hard hitting ones. Whether it's just normal Brawl Stars, you could probably get away with playing like a Sandy maybe, but you need like a Shelly, you need a Nita, you need an Ems, you need a Spike or a Cordelius. You need those type of brawlers to really shut down those tanks. So the next map, we have Hard Rock Mines. So as I mentioned, pretty much everything is the same in terms of the best brawlers, but when it's the Bushy modifier, you want to be making sure that you switch, and I forgot to mention this, switch to the speed and vision gear. You definitely need both of those, and you want to be going pretty much tanks or tank counters all of the time, because they'll just run all over you with that speed gear. So starting off on hard rock mine, we have 8-Bit, Lou, Pam, Piper, and Colette for the middle. So towards the beginning of what the brawlers have said, they're going to be a better pick. So 8-Bit, Lou, those are the two that I pretty much go all of the time. Lou is a solid mid on hard rock mine, so good, and you can just cycle hypercharge ridiculously easy on this map. And then hard rock mine, and you know, don't always have to have a tank, but on the bushy modifier 100% you need a tank, buster, rosa, or bull. And then for your other picks, again, if it's the bushy modifier, making sure you've got that vision gear on a brawler like Rico or Charlie or Nita, Shelly, Spike, and Cordelius again. But then if it's the just normal Brawl Stars, you can get away with Sandy, but I wouldn't recommend it on a bushy modifier. So now we're moving on to Brawl, starting off with field goals. So in terms of the best mids, you've got a couple to choose from. So just like in gem grab, I definitely recommend going a tank counter as your mid brawler. You can never go wrong. So again, Lou is just a go-to brawler in gem grab as a mid right now, and as a mid in Brawl, you can never go wrong with Lou. You're able to cycle so easily, especially with all the tanks going on right now. B is a really bulletproof mid as well. Charlie, if you've got Charlie unlocked. And then if you don't really want to go any of those other brawlers, Crow is still a decent pick as a mid, just because he's bulletproof against those tanks. And then this is where it gets a little bit confusing with field goal, because I think it's very rock, paper, scissors. By that I mean is that there's a lot of different combinations that can counter yours. It's very dicey with this one. So if it's a non-bushy modifier, I will recommend a thrower. So Barley, Willow, or Dynamite down one lane, and then your typical tank counter with Shelly, Cordelius, Nita, Bull, Primo, Spike, or Sandy. So if there is a bushy modifier though, I wouldn't recommend going at a thrower, because tanks will just run all over you. So you kind of want to take that with your own and then go a tank yourself if it's a bushy modifier, or someone that can leap on top of a thrower pretty easily. So a field goal, as I mentioned, make sure you've either got a counter to those throws or go in a throw yourself. And lastly for Brawl, we have Backyard Bowl. So a really nice open map for this for Club League, and it's pretty easy in terms of the best brawlers to pick from. So for your mid brawler, you want to have either Nanny, Piper, 8-Bit, or B. I think Nanny or Piper are pretty bulletproof. The good thing about Piper that I like is that you can switch gadget to auto aimer, and you can somewhat at least counter those aggressive brawlers. So typically I like going Piper on this map for me. And then as a lane then, so again, even though it's Backyard Bowl, trust me, don't be deceived. It can be a very hyper aggressive map with a lot of tanks like Bull, for example, I see running rampant on this map. So you've either kind of got to go a Bull yourself, or something a little bit aggressive like Fang or Buster, or you got to look to counter it, or you could just go with all three of the brawlers. So for me, I'd probably like to go like a Piper, then maybe like a Bull, and then probably again Charlie's just broken, or you could just go like Colette hypercharge, Spike hypercharge, really broken right now, Lou. We've already spoke about all of these hypercharge brawlers that are breaking the game right now, but making sure to abuse it as much as possible, because it is very strong in the Brawl meta. So now we're moving on to Wipeout, starting off with Shooting Stars. So Shooting Stars is a pretty simple one in my opinion in terms of best composition. It will always be Nanny, Piper, and Tick. That's just a bulletproof combination. You might be able to go like a Grey to counter for Tick in the middle if you're a good Grey player, but I think pretty much all the time you want to go those three brawlers. So I can't recommend enough. You definitely need Nanny and Piper, definitely one of them at least. If you're not, of course, got two good sharpshooters, make sure you got one of them at least. And then in terms of your mid brawlers, as I mentioned, you want to go throw it in mid or Grey, or maybe even a Jean if you want to go down that avenue. But you want to go like a Tick, Grom, or Sprout, of course, Tick being the best one. And then your lanes, if you don't want to go Nanny and Piper for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't, you can still go like an RT, Belle, Byron, Jean, Meg. And of course, if you're a really good Fang player to counter those snipers, you can go a Fang, but it's a little bit more risky. But you should know what to go on Shooting Star. Not a lot of options, but a lot of bulletproof options. So the last map for Wipeout is Snake Prairie, and the modifiers don't change this one or Shooting Star, by the way. So these are just the best brawlers, I would say, pretty much all of the time. Rosa, Tara, and Bo. Pretty bulletproof combination right here. You've got Bo with their Vision Star Power, and of course the Vision Gear equipped on every single brawler. It's definitely needed, except for, of course, Rosa. And of course with Rosa, you want to use a slow gadget to reveal the position from the enemies. Just literally dealing the ammo, it makes them appear on, well, inside the grass. So really good. Tara, I would recommend actually using the speed gear and the vision gear with Tara, and using the vision gadget as well, and making sure you get a healthy lead. So Snake Prairie can be a little bit scary, especially since the addition of those hypercharged brawlers like Shelly, Bull, and Rosa. I'm seeing a lot of them in Snake Prairie at the moment. So if you don't want to go Tara or Rosa, or maybe even Bo, I don't think you actually 100% need Bo, by the way, but he's just good. For example, if you get a good lead, you can actually just use your mines down either lane, break open the map, and then you know whether the opponent's gonna actually come towards you, because right, both sides of the grass are broken, they can't sneak in anymore. But you don't have to go Bo, you could just double up with the aggression and go like Bull, Rosa, Tara. You can go Shelly, Nita, and if you don't want to go any of these other brawlers, there's some other ones like Ems, Jean, Brock, Piper. They're a little bit more risky, so for me, just stay with the hypercharged tanks and you should be good. Okay, so moving on to the final game mode we got to play, it is Hot Zone, and starting off with Ring of Fire. So the best mid by far, again, it's going to be Lu Hypercharge pretty much everywhere right now. Lu Hypercharge is the best brawler, and again Charlie, I mean, I've just said Charlie pretty much everywhere. If I've not mentioned her, you just go up, because she's just absolutely broken. You can go a little bit more riskier in the middle. You can go with a Piper, I've seen that a lot in competitive right now. You can go with a Belle, because she's really good with the traps in the middle to solidify yourself some easy kills. And 8-bit and Pam are really rising in the Hot Zone meta, so you do probably recommend a couple of those. A lot of people tend to kind of double stack with the mids and then go one brawler that likes to push into their spawn, and that's where you can go like the likes of Fang as a brawler that can pop off and then get into the enemy grass, can be pretty good. Crow's really good still on Ring of Fire and pretty good against a lot of cheesy strategies. Eve is actually a pretty solid brawler overall as well, and Colette, you can never go wrong with Colette, because if people go with cheesy strategy, I didn't want to talk about it, but a lot of people go Gray, Rosa, Jackie. Colette is a really solid counter to that. If you use the shield star power and the healing gadget and use hypercharge, you can take them down. I wouldn't recommend push it against it, because you can still actually receive a lot of damage when you're pushing them. Like Jackie can get some shots off, so I wouldn't recommend that. Go for the extra tankiness with the shield star power. So again, if you want to go to cheese strategy, you can go Gray, Rosa, Jackie, but I think it's a little bit too cheesy. And lastly, for these maps, then we have Split, starting off with pretty much, I'd say you can go these compositions no matter the modifier. Just making sure you're switching the gears primarily, and you don't really need to change combinations too much. It's just that tanks are a little bit better in the grassy modifier. So right lane, I typically go Rico, Ruffs, Lu, or Cordelius. Rico you can never go wrong with, so good against everything. But if you want to counter tanks a little bit harder and you feel yourself facing a lot of tanks in the bushy modifier, then you want to go Lu 100%, just to shut down that right hand lane and make sure you're not breaking open the right hand side. So it's really easy to keep them back, and of course they've only got like a little tight gap down that right hand side, so you're able just to hit them really easily. Cordelius you can never go wrong with on this map, really solid. If you use a jump gadget as well, can counter those pesky throwers on the enemy team, and also pretty decent counter to a lot of the tanks right now. And on the left hand side, pretty much I go Rosa or Bull. Bull's really good because you can use your super to break open the map and make it a little bit easier to go down the left hand side, but you can still go Rosa with a bush gadget, and it's just really annoying for the opponents to try and get you off the zone. And you can also just pretty much go with Gray as a mid and really help the tank keep getting onto the zone if you just leave the teleporter on that zone. Stu, pretty good to break open the map. Shelly and Primo as well, so a lot of options. And also we're going to quickly go through the other game mode, which we've not really got the chance to play yet, but I think it's still part of the Mega Pig event. It's Knockout. So both maps have pretty much the same meta. It's just if it's the bushing modifier, you're going to be making sure that you've got at least one brawler that can scout somewhat well. So that's probably where you want to put Jean with vision gear on, and it can work pretty well. So with Bell's Rock and Gold Arm Gooch, it's the same type of brawlers. Piper, Nanny, really strong. You're going to be making sure that you have a thrower yourself or a counter to thrower. So whether that's through wall breaks with Piper, whether that's through Gray, who's a fantastic knockout brawler, whether that is an aggro brawler like Fang or Buster, you want to make sure you have one of those or go throw yourself. So the throws you can pick from, of course, Tick, Grom, and Sprout. And then the sharpshooters you can pick from are Piper, Nanny, Belle, Mandy, and maybe Brock on the side as well. Predictional meta is the same as I mentioned, but you could also go with a Brock and break open the bushy sides of the map if needs be. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this one and hope it was super helpful. I thought to begin with I was going to do one of these guides for last weekend, but I thought the meta was going to be very different, but it's only really different on instant overtime, where of course you want to go long range brawlers, and then just tanks are a little bit better on super bushy. So that's literally it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.